Hello, and welcome to Kitchen Chats with Aimee Kandrac. Today I am here with one of my dearest friends, Jen DeMotte, and we are going to talk today about helping families that maybe don't look exactly like ours, and specifically helping families who have someone in the house who has special needs.
Right.
And the reason I invited you, not only because you're one of my dearest friends ever, but because you worked for What Friends Do for a long time in customer experience and helping families. You are an advocate for families with someone who has special needs.
Yep.
And your daughter, Allie, who is the sassiest, funnest 18-year-old I know,
Yep.
has special needs and
She
autism.
does. Yep, she does.
So thanks for joining me today.
Sure. This is fun.
So in the kitchen, what we do is we talk about hard things. And the first question that I have for you is, do you have a kitchen counter moment that you're willing to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably have a lot. I think one that comes to mind is not even from a special needs perspective, but just kind of me reaching out to someone else who needed help. It was just a good friend of mine who had lost her husband, and her girls were at home and they were working through their grief, and she'd get them to school, and then she'd just say, "Can I just come and sit in your house and just be sad today?" And so I'm like, of course, yes. And so we would just sit. We wouldn't really do anything. Sometimes we'd talk, sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes we'd just sit. And I think that's the first one that kind of came to mind when you asked me that question. But I'm sure I have many.
You have many.
Yeah. And I think as a special needs mom, I think it is hard to offer help because our routine and how we live life is so different and specialized, and it's just what works for us. And so I think a lot of times when folks offer to help, it's difficult for me to accept because I know that but here's the whole list of things that our family does. But for me, it's having that kitchen counter moment or having a place to just let it out. So after a difficult day or after, Allie's had challenging behaviors or we've gone through a challenging situation with insurance or whatever, it's nice to have that space to just be able to say, I love our life, but sometimes life is really hard.
Life has been really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's the joy of having those kitchen counter moments is you get the opportunity to just, it's not even that you have to fix it for someone, but that you're just there to say, yeah, just tell me. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your day. What happened?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have had the opportunity to help you, though, a few times.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And so I want to take the opportunity right now to say what an honor and privilege it is that you have allowed me to do that.
Yeah, we have a select few because I think one of the things for our family is that it's when you offer to help, it is if it's, we want to bring dinner. Well, bringing dinner in our house isn't helpful. I get it. It is a super helpful thing, but it isn't always helpful. So for us, it's having those people in our lives that we're able to say, so yeah, can you pick Allie up from school today? Because I need help. And can you have a couple magazines in the car? Because she's going to want to read magazines. And gosh, I hope she doesn't throw anything at you. And that nobody is fazed by that. right? Like, because that's just kind of our life. It's what we live with. She is such a joy, but, changes in her routine can be difficult. And so it's just having that person that's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just deal with whatever we get. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I know for your house, similar to my house, bringing food in, like, she can't eat a lot of things. She has a special diet.
Right.
And I know when Elliot was really little, it was really important to us to have the same food for everyone, right? They already felt, and his was, and I'm not belittling food allergies, but just food allergies, but they were life-threatening. But we didn't want to special him out at home.
Right.
Right?
Right.
At home was the place where we wanted to be able to say, everything here is safe for you.
Right.
Everything here is good for you. And then I know at your house with Allie, we can't just take any food because there's a lot of stuff that she can't eat.
Right. Yeah, it's true. And I think you're exactly right. I think that's how we have always viewed our home it's Allie's home. It's her one place in the world that is set up for her, that understands her and that loves her unconditionally. And so it is hard when you bring other things into our home and it's like, well, that's not Allie safe, or, just, it's true. It's like, we don't want, it should be that it's the place where she can just be who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have also had, I'm going to say opportunity, but I think my obligation is the word that's coming to mind, and I don't know that it's obligation for you, but you've had the chance to help a lot of other families who have kids with special needs. And I don't even know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what other things, I know, as you've said, each family is so different.
Yeah.
But are there any universal things other than each family is so different?
I mean, I think that's the universal thing. Each family is so different. And I have never met, and maybe I just haven't met them yet, maybe they're out there, but I have never met a special needs family that takes offense to you listening or asking questions. So if you don't understand, if you see someone struggling and you want to help and you just say, I want to help you, but I don't know how. Like, what can I do that would be the most effective? And what I typically say, because I am a special needs parent, is there is nothing that you can tell me that I'll be like, oh, that's weird. Like, nothing. So you bring it to me, you tell me what you need, and I will make it happen for you if I can. I have done things like, and we have had this done for us also, so it's not just, pat myself on the back, but I've done things like, I've gone with another family to their IEP meeting because the mom was like, it's so emotional to go and talk about your child, and I'm afraid I'm going to forget something. And so we would meet before, we'd talk about all the things she wanted to address. And then I was just there sort of as an observer, but then to just occasionally say, oh, we also wanted to discuss and put it on the table so mom could talk about it without, and if mom or dad got overwhelmed, or because it's emotional, you're talking about your kid, being that person that's, doesn't get emotional and can continue the conversation until you can pull yourself back together and get back on track, because it happens.
And maybe take notes at the same time.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so
many notes. Yep.
So much information that comes at you as well that it's hard to process.
Yes. And sometimes there are things that are said that as a parent, man, they hurt. And so you don't know how to come back with, a question or to get further information because it hurts. And so it's nice to have someone else there that can say, give me a little bit more. When you say X, Y, and Z, what do you mean by that? Give me a little bit more information. Just someone that's removed. And I've also done things like, just babysit a friend's kiddo for a few hours that needs, their diaper changed and needs to be fed and needs, but they're a teenager. And I will probably get pinched while I'm there but it's fine. Like it's just, she's lovely. And it's fun to spend time with her. And she's, she does funny, quirky things. And I don't know, like I find joy in it. I find joy in those. But I think as a parent, at least, and I shouldn't say as a parent, for me personally, when my child misbehaves or does something that society deems as odd or bad, I understand the function for her behavior, so it just doesn't bother me that much. I mean, it does, but it really bothers me if I think you walked away feeling like, oh, Allie did this, or Allie was difficult today, or like that hurts as a parent. Yeah. And so having that group of people that is just like, we had a great day, even though I know she probably did something that wasn't great, but they see her for who she is and they understand her. Like that to me is priceless. Yeah.
Because she is so funny.
She's hilarious.
She's so funny.
She has a wicked sense of humor. She's super social. She just doesn't know how to always engage, but she wants to so badly. She's so loving, and she's just a pleasure. Like she is just a lot of fun. But I also understand within our walls and within her safe spaces. So like at the school she goes to, it's a therapy center, but we call it school. Like we know that they get her. And so it's amazing. But when we're out in society, it can be difficult. It just is sometimes difficult because I don't know what other people are thinking when she is doing something that isn't considered appropriate for the situation that we're in.
Yeah. I know you well enough that I feel like I know that I can share the ups and downs of my kids, right? And they don't have special needs like Allie does.
Yeah.
But we have other friends who have kiddos with special needs, and sometimes I catch myself when I am talking to them saying, oh, my kid just got into this great thing, or they're having trouble with this sports team, or things that are on a different level than the things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis with your special needs kid.
Yeah.
And so I catch myself right now as we're talking, saying, I want to still be able to engage with them in a way that's authentic to who I am.
Of course.
But I also want to make sure that I can be a safe space for them to authentically share what's going on with their kid.
Yeah.
What their ups and downs are. Because the ups for Allie are really different than the ups for my daughter Claire.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's fair. I mean, there was a period of time shortly after Allie's diagnosis where I struggled for, like years. not like, like a few weeks, like years. And I think social media makes it even harder. So I struggle with seeing like pictures of people's kids, or like family outings, going out and doing things out in society. And we couldn't do that with her. It was a struggle. She didn't enjoy it, so then no one enjoyed it. I don't know, but I think as time goes on, I have gotten to the place, I just feel like for, I don't know, probably the last 10 years now, that it doesn't bother me. Like, I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what your kids are doing. I just think, you can still ask, like, oh my gosh, here's something Claire did that was like super awesome. Here's this path she's taking. Here are these wonderful opportunities she gets to do. And then it's, you can still ask, what awesome thing happened to your kids? Awesome things still happen to Allie. They're just not the same as what your kids are doing, right? Like they're just different, but they're still cool. She still does cool things.
She still does lots of cool things.
Yeah. She still has awesome opportunities. She still, enjoys life. And so I still like to share those stories, even if they're different than what everyone else is doing. Yeah.
And I want to know those things.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that, I don't know, like as the non-special needs parent, right? Like how am I being as supportive as possible and not looking, I don't know. I'm finding, I'm having a hard time coming up with the words around
That's hard. Whatever you're doing it. Because I don't ever feel like, oh gosh, Aimee doesn't ever listen to me about my kids. I don't ever feel that way. So whatever you're doing it. I think the thing is, and maybe it's just treat her like a human being.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, of course.
So it's, I'm asking you what your kids are doing, and then you're like, what are your kids doing?
Yeah.
And when I tell you that Allie's doing something that an 18-year-old probably should not be doing, then you just go, yeah, that sounds great.
Of course.
That's fine. That's what it is. So, yeah, I don't know.
No, that's good. I just think that that's something that I feel like people tiptoe around, and I don't want them to have to tiptoe around it.
No, I don't think it's necessary. Like, I think she's like any other kid. Quite frankly, it's pretty awesome because I'm watching all of my friends, sending their kids off to college, and I'm like, haha, and they're all sad and weepy, and I'm like, I get to keep one of mine.
Yeah. So
forever. So how about that?
That is exciting.
It is exciting. It's fun. She's a pleasure. So
you mentioned, and I know this, but since you mentioned it, we'll bring it up. You do have another kiddo.
I do.
And he is off at college and doing wonderful, amazing things.
Yeah.
But growing up, his life had different things at home than what a lot of families might have. Everybody's got something, but his was definitely different. Were there things that other people did for him, or that you wish other people had been able to do for him?
So here's the thing. I think what I discovered is my anxiety over Quentin not having a, quote, normal childhood was my anxiety. It was my problem. It was not a Quentin problem. And this is not the case for every kiddo, so I don't want to, again, I don't want to blanket a response, because I don't think this is the case in every single family. But in our family, and maybe it's just part of Quentin's personality, I think it's also that we tried really hard to do things that other people, we wanted to go to Disney. Quentin wanted to do that, so we figured it out. Now, it took me 100 days of planning and preparation and to make it enjoyable for him, and also to do it in a way that Allie could tolerate. But we did, we traveled, we did things. But I think it was really a me problem, and I think it continues to be a me problem, because I worry about it more. I worry about, and I know I've told you this story, but I'll tell it again. So Quentin is in a fraternity, and we had gone to visit him and had taken Allie with us, and she, in her alleyway, is walking down the hallway, opening every door to every room that was available to her, checking it out, seeing what was in there.
And to be fair, that would scare the crap out of me. I don't want to see what's behind the doors of fraternity houses.
You don't know.
But Allie doesn't know.
She doesn't. She was curious.
Of course.
So I had said to Quentin, you did tell your brothers, that your sister has special needs. And he's like, I told some of them. It doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care. He just is it's my sister. Oh, well. She is who she is. I don't know. I think a lot of that is his personality, but he is such a just go with the flow kind of kiddo. It just doesn't faze him. Her behavior doesn't embarrass him. If she gets upset, he can calm her like no one else. Yeah, I don't know. They have just a special relationship, an interesting relationship. I don't know. And I would like to say that I did something to do that, but I couldn't tell you what that was. I think it's just a lot of just who he is and his personality, and Allie being who she is.
And this was his normal.
Yeah, it has always been.
This has been his normal. And I think then that also means for people who want to engage with your family, or if you ever were to have any major event happen and we want to be able to help you, to remember that any of our anxiety around that is probably our anxiety also.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not me then saying to Quentin, oh, well, I mean, this is his normal.
I think one of my favorite stories to tell is when he was kindergarten or first grade. He had taken some toy that he had gotten from Allie's first steps, like OT or PT, into school, and one of the kids was like, oh, that's cool, where'd you get it? And he's like, oh, you just ask your sister's nurse. That's what he called them, their nurse. The nurses that come to your house, if you ask them for one. And the kid was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But that had been our life as long as he could remember. So yeah, they just come to your house and they do their thing, and then sometimes they give you fun things because you're the sibling. But yeah, it's funny. It was just the life that he lived. And I think he's aware that other people live differently. I mean, he had friends. He'd go to their houses. He would go on vacation with other people.
And they didn't have nurses.
No, it looks a lot different than ours. It just is. Like, I think, yeah, it just is. I mean, and that's kind of how we live. This is our life. We enjoy it. We enjoy her. So, I mean, there are aspects I don't enjoy, but it's not her. It's usually just the outside crap we have to deal with. But
so is there any of the other outside crap though that, because I know it's hard for other people to come into your house. I love Allie, and actually one of my favorite things that she said to me very recently was like, yeah, bye, I'm gonna go, I'm just gonna leave. Or whenever I've just like dropped something off at your house, just like, bye, Aimee, bye.
Yeah, when she's done, she'll let you know.
Hey,
she'll let you know that she's now done.
But that said, going into your house is not always an easy thing, right?
Right.
And it's better, but there are other things that we can do. Like you said, I've been able to help pick her up.
Oh.
I've been able to help take Quentin places.
Yeah.
You've been able to help people with their IEPs. You already have a house that is set up in such a way that you can babysit someone else's kid.
Yeah.
My house is not as conducive to that.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yep, nope, my kid's not coming to your house. But other things, like one thing I know that you've done a lot of, and you're great at it, is calling insurance for people.
Yeah.
Dealing with some paperwork. Helping them. Like,
I think sometimes it's even just like sitting with you, right? Like, because a lot of times insurance won't talk to you unless you're you. Like, you can't call for someone else, but you can sit there and be like, listen, we're going to make some calls. We're going to get it done today. We're going to, write some letters. What does the letter need to say? That was one of the things. So I was really lucky early on. One of Allie's diagnosis is she has mitochondrial dysfunction. And so I met a support group very early on that was just the Mito Moms is what we called ourselves. But man, were they a wealth of information. So if their kiddos sometimes were older than Allie. And so I drew from them. It was like, yeah, if you need to get this service, here's the magic word for insurance right now. Like, here's what you have to say. Because typically our doctors, were like, yes, she needs it. We've asked for it. They're just denying it. Like, what can we do? And so it was a lot of me writing letters saying, okay, so I've worded it in the magical way. Can you please sign this? So, having someone else who can come over and just be like, let's just get through it together, because it's hard. It's like I'm doing that while also trying to manage our life and manage a special needs child. And so you're constantly like, oh, I have to get up and help her with something, or, oh gosh, now, or you go in and, oh gosh, now she's wet her pants and I have to deal with that. But and I also need to get the letter out today. So just stuff like, it's just being there and just, I'll finish. I'll keep typing while you're handling that.
And
yes.
keep them on hold once
yes.
you
I will not allow them to hang up.
Right.
Yeah. Those types of things, I think are just invaluable. But I do think, like, going back to Quentin, just, because it is harder. It's like, we carpooled with the kids in middle school. And I think, like, it is exponentially harder to find a carpool for Allie because there is no one in our neighborhood that goes to her therapy center. And so there's nobody to carpool with. So it's like having that support system for your other kiddos. So to be able to say, yes, like, we have a carpool, because I can't be two places at once,
right.
But I know that someone's going to come pick him up, and I know that he'll get home, and I know, just those things are, they're invaluable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I say all the time, and I've said this a lot because we're moving and I've had to say goodbye to, all the people that have helped us so much. And when I thank people, most of them are like, what do you mean? And it's like, I don't think you understand, like, what a huge deal it is that you just accepted us as we were, or that if we had an emergency situation, that you weren't afraid to back us up, or, it's a huge deal for us, huge. But I think for other people, they look at it and go, well, yeah, of course I would. But we have a lot of people that wouldn't. For our family, it is a big deal. Oh, I get weepy about it.
Well, but you would do the same thing for somebody else.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. So
yeah.
Thanks for letting us have the opportunity to do that too.
Yeah. It's hard. And I think that's the thing. It's hard to find those people that you're like, oh, like, can I let them in my house? Will they understand, this or that? In fact, we had done for a while before we had respite, or I think we were having difficulty finding respite, but we were feeling very isolated. We weren't able to get out and do things. And so we had started this dinner at the DeMottes, and we would have, and this was years ago.
I remember this.
Do you remember this? So this was years ago, but
a long time ago.
I would send basically an email out inviting someone to come, like, on a Friday night for dinner or whatever. And then I'm like, just understand, like, here's my plan. I plan to make you dinner. I may or may not actually get to do that. Like, we may just have pizza in the dining room, okay? And my kid is probably going to do something that you're like, oh, that's not great for the dinner table, but we want to spend time with you. So if you're cool with that, then, like, we hope that you can come join us for dinner. It was a lot of fun. Like, we really enjoyed doing it. And then we kind of got to the point where we were able to get respite. And so we started just going out instead of doing that. We got out of the house, but it was a way for us to stay connected. It was a wonderful way just to kind of bring people into our home and kind of catch a glimpse of what life in our house is like. And we were selective, I think, in who we invited, just trying to invite people in that we thought would accept us.
Well, let's be clear, we're pretty selective at our house too.
But I think, it was really fun, and it was enjoyable. It was nice to have people in that didn't, maybe they were judging us, but it didn't seem like they were, so we'll take it.
I can't imagine they were, but I'm sure they had a great time.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I could have done or anyone could have done to help facilitate that?
That's a good question.
Like, what if someone has a friend who has a special needs kiddo, and, like, is there anything they could do to help with that? Could I say, can I get the gluten-free pizza?
Yeah.
And bring it over? And
So I think it's just asking the question, because I'm like very specifically thinking of a friend who has 4 kiddos, and they have very different needs. And almost all of them have some sort of special need, but not like some are kind of higher support than others. So, but I'm very specifically thinking of her because she was going through a pretty challenging time with her own health and was struggling, to manage the house and the chores and all of that. And, it is, I think it's just asking, like, because she was like sort of like me, that's like bringing me a meal
doesn't work.
Is not helpful. Mm-hmm. Like there is nothing about that, because my kids are the pickiest eaters.
Right.
And so now I've got this whole meal sitting here that none of my children will eat. Mm-hmm. So, and now, and you always say this, but it's true. It's like, bring it in something that I can just throw away, because now I feel like I have to make contact with you again to return your fancy casserole dish. Like, it's just, and you so don't want to be ungrateful, because you know that people want to help you. But it's hard. And she had said one of the things that someone had done for her that was like the best thing is they had just basically said, what do your kids eat? And she's like fruit snacks and cheese sticks and Cheerios and, I don't know what stuff kids eat. And so he had just brought her a giant box of just like Costco size portions of those things. And she's like, the most helpful thing, because no, you don't want to run out of.
You cannot run out of cheese sticks.
Cheese sticks, right? I gotta have cheese sticks. So yeah, it's just those things where you're like, oh my gosh, like that was actually helpful. And I know Quentin had gone to her house because she's like, I know that he won't judge my kids. Like he just will play with them. He understands living with a special needs kid and finds the joy in it. There's joy in it. Like I don't think so many people, I shouldn't say that because we are surrounded by angels, but I do feel like there are a select group of people that come in and they scold her for certain behaviors that they're probably causing because of their behavior. And it's like, okay, well, but here's the thing, like you're pushing her or you're asking her to touch you, like hug me, give me a kiss, if she pushes you away, she's trying to tell you I'm not into that. So it's things like that where you're just, like to have somebody that can come in that just is like, just tell me how to what do I do?
Yeah.
And I have gone, this is not for a special needs mom, but just for a mom who was overwhelmed and just was like, walk in, I'm like, what is stressing you out? Like what right now in your house is, and she's like, it's this giant pile of laundry. I'm like, great, then I'm doing laundry. And she's like, you cannot touch my underwear. I'm like, for the love. Like we are best friends. I'm doing your freaking laundry. And so we just did it. So, I don't know.
What is stressing you out? That's a great question to say, like, what in your house?
Like, what is the one thing right now that you're like, oh my, if this were just done, like I would.
It would just be like one because
thing.
It's like the needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
Or not the needle, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. That would be the other analogy I was trying to come up with.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just that, even if it's something like doing your laundry.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
You're great with that. I will do the laundry for other people. I can't do it at my own house, but.
Yeah. See, and I don't want to cook for you. That's my thing. I'm like, if you want food, like what can I order out? Because I don't even I'm not a great cook. And so I don't feel confident in my skills. So I'm like, well, if you need food, like what could I order for you?
But you could also go to Costco and buy the thing of fruit snacks and cheese sticks.
Of course.
Because you know how to make that work.
Yeah.
But you're also the friend that's more than happy to change the bandages.
Oh, yeah.
Or because that doesn't bother you.
No. Yeah, you can't really gross me out. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'll change diapers. I'll change bandages. I'll, whatever. That does not bother me. But that's the thing. It's hard to find someone to come in your house and I'll tell you a story about respite, someone being there, we potty trained Allie. She was fully potty trained when she was 8. And I would not have gotten that done without the respite provider that we had at the time, because she didn't understand. Like, she just didn't get it. And so we had been told by her doctors and therapists, and like, you just need to she just needs not to wear pants, because she needs to understand what's happening when it's happening, because diapers now are all fancy and like they immediately pull moisture away. So that's what we were doing. And so like, when we could see her starting to go to the bathroom, we would just pick her up real quick and take her to the potty. And so that she would know, hey, when you're doing that, this is where you're supposed to do it. But you couldn't do that if she was wearing underwear, because you couldn't see it. You didn't know it was happening. By the end of the day, I would just be like, if I have to clean up any more pee off of the floor, like, I just can't do it. Mm-hmm. And usually it was the end of the week, because I think we had respite on Thursday nights. And by Thursday, I'm like, and I'm done. She's just going to wear diapers forever. But respite would walk in and she'd be like, you need to leave the house. I got this. And she would take over and she would just do it. And I just I needed that. And usually I would go take a shower, because I just felt like I smelled like pee, like everything was pee. And then, Michael and I would go out to dinner, and like, I could just be a normal human for just a couple hours. But it was just the right amount of like breath that I needed to like, okay, I can do this. And then we come back and start all over again. So, but yeah, like, I think it is just having, and maybe you're not that person, but like, it doesn't matter. It's like, there's so many stories like that I have, right? Like, you just need one person to be like, we'll just do it. Just tell me what you're doing and I will do it, and you can take a breath. And it's just not being like, why are you doing this? It's making a terrible mess, because that's what I was getting. And it's like, because her therapists, people that know kiddos with autism, that know people with her disorder, like, they understand this is how it's messy, but I promise you, and I swear it worked. And it was just, it took us like a month, but it worked.
Yeah. And so not coming in judgmental, not coming in trying to fix it, just how do you do it, and let me take over for enough time for you to get a breath.
Yeah.
Just go take a shower.
Yeah. Because I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff we do, it is weird. And as a parent, so Quentin is our oldest, you know that, and Allie is our second. And so it was every parenting book I read before we had Quentin, every skill that I thought I had, that like, this is how you parent, this is how you're supposed to parent, this is what the books say. None of that worked on Allie. None of it. Like, I just threw out the books, because I'm like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Everything we do for her is different. And so it is hard when someone comes into our house and they're like, well, why don't you just do this? Like, this is what you do. It's like that. No, like, it is. I'm like, please don't judge me. Like, I have paid all of the money to the therapist to there are people that understand it just takes time. And it is funny, because when we see people that we see on a regular basis, and like me, I don't see the progress she's made, because it's so incredibly slow, but it's constant progress day after day after day. But it's always fun when like you see family that you haven't seen for a while, because they remind you of like, oh my gosh, like her vocabulary, it's so much better. Oh my gosh, like last time she was doing these things and she's, not doing those things anymore. Things that, we just typically her behaviors are attention seeking or out of frustration. And when, we're able to get her more verbal or able to express herself more, we don't see those things. So it's just, I don't know.
As we kind of start to close out here, Is there any other last thing that you want to make sure people remember?
I mean, I think just and I'll just say it for our family, but I feel like I can speak for several special needs families. Ask the questions. Don't be afraid to just say, I don't know what's going on and I want to understand. So help me understand. And then just saying, like, what can I do to help? But I think it is following that up with, like, understand there is nothing you can tell me that is going to, like, rock my world. So what do you need? Mm-hmm. Tell me how to do it and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because I do think people want to help, but as a parent, I'm like, well, but they're thinking it's going to be like their kid and my kid is not. So, like, it's harder to ask for help because you feel like, oh gosh, they're going to expect her to behave in a certain way, or, we'll walk her home from school, or, it's like, well, she'll run into the street, or, just mm-hmm. stuff like that, where it's like you have to be, like, on alert at all times. I think that is what I would say. Just offer help, but just tell them and then stick by it. Like, nothing you can say will faze me. There's no judgment here. Just tell me what I need to do. And for the love, do it. Because if you mess up Allie's schedule, or you allow her to do one thing not in the way that we normally do it, now she's like, well, guess what? When so-and-so was here, we did it like this. So I'm going to do it that way forever. Yeah, please follow what we do. We do it for a reason. Yeah, and I think just be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the last two questions, I'll kind of combine them and you can decide how to answer.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing that you do for someone if they're experiencing any kind of life event? And what is the best thing anyone's ever done for you?
Oh, gosh. I think my thing that I do is I try to show up, because here's the thing. I will show up at your house, and if you want me to go away, then I will go away. But 9 times out of 10, if I show up and I'm like, you just need to tell me what you want me to do. I'm here. Like, do you need to leave the house? Do you just need to go and I manage the kids? Because I'll do that. Like, do you need me to do your laundry? Because I'll do that. Do you just need me to sit on the couch with you and just sit? Just sit? Do you need to just, like, complain about all the things that are crap today? Okay. Like, then let's do that. So I think that is something that I do well and I enjoy doing. I think it's just the showing up.
You're good at it.
And being like, just tell me what you need. Mm-hmm. Like, I will do it. The best thing anyone's ever done for me. Oh, Lordy. Because there's so many, and it's so many things, and it's so hard because it's like, I think sometimes it's things that are so small, like picking up Allie from school that seemed like, well, that wasn't a big deal. Well, it was a huge deal for us because whatever, like, it allowed us to do something with Quentin by himself. Like, that is huge to us. To, the hairdresser that comes to our home and does Allie's hair, where it's like, well, that was no big deal. But it's like, but you don't understand. For us, it's a colossal deal. Like, to the photographer that takes our family pics, like, I never thought we would have family pictures. Like, just something to look back on 10 years ago and be like, oh my gosh, like, that was our family. Like, I would look at everyone else's family pics. I didn't think it was something possible for our family because Allie doesn't follow instructions real well. She's much better now, much better. But when we started taking them, she did not. So it's those, and if I had said to our photographer, like, she would say, well, of course I would just do it. But that is not everyone.
Right.
So it's those little things that I think it isn't some big colossal, like, here's some wondrous thing that someone did, that it's just like those little everyday things that are huge to making us feel, I don't want to say normal, because normal's overrated, but I feel
Well,
like,
you're normal.
I know, but it makes us feel valued and seen as a family. And so, I just think it's those things, and heard, like, hey, this is what we need. This is something I want to do. And then having someone go, well, then we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Well, Jen, I value your friendship. Thanks for letting me help.
Me too.
I really appreciate it. I've learned so much from you. I've learned even more from Allie. And I appreciate that you've given me the opportunity to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we appreciate it so much. It's hard. It's hard to ask.
It is hard to ask.
For help. Yeah. But we appreciate it. Thanks for accepting us.
Always. Thanks for joining me today.
Mm-hmm.